Hey guys, T2, welcome back to the Time Preparedness channel. Last week I put out a video on the top 5 items that I said you might need during some sort of hyperinflation scenario. We're going to quickly run through those again, and then we're going to do the next 5. The first 5 were, of course, food and water filters, water purification methods. Food and water is obviously important. Water is also super important. Make sure you have them. Number 2 was lights, power, rechargeable batteries, rechargeable devices such as headlamps, flashlights, the little solar LED lantern things that you can buy from the dollar store. Number 3 was cleaning supplies. Like I mentioned, yes, hyperinflation is a dirty scenario. It is an SHTF scenario. It's not supposed to be clean, but you washing your clothes, you washing your dishes, yourself, your hands with actual soap will make them things last longer. Number 4 was cold weather items to include firewood, propane, even cold weather gear. Cold weather is going to happen no matter what. Make sure you're prepared. Number 5 was medicines and medications and medical supplies. So for today's video, we are running through the next 5 items that I think you should own or have during some sort of hyperinflation scenario. Let's kick it off with off-the-grid cooking methods. I would venture to say that most people watching this have an electric oven or an electric stove. Now, if the power goes out and you have an electric stove, how are you supposed to cook? So make sure you have off-grid cooking methods. Now, what do I mean by off-grid? Something that is not tied to the electrical system, and I would even venture to say something that is not tied into the natural gas system. We see this a lot during natural disasters where different systems get shut down because they get damaged or they don't work anymore or no one's there to man them. And even your natural gas system is the same way. So make sure you have ways to cook, such as charcoal, such as propane. Yes, a 20-gallon propane tank normally only lasts about a summer. Well, what happens when that runs out? What happens when your charcoal runs out? Now, we'll be doing a video on all off-grid cooking methods that I can kind of think of, and one of them is just building a fire, right? I can go out in my backyard and build a fire, cook steak, cook hamburgers, whatever, over that open fire. The problem with an open fire is obviously, number 1, it gives off your location, but number 2, it burns a lot of fuel for the little bit amount of heat that it actually produces. So you want something that is chambered, such as a rocket stove. That way it sends all the heat to one area and it uses less fuel. They've got the Lixida, they've got the Emberlit, the Big Mama Bear, the Big Daddy Bear, even the BioLite systems, the Solo stoves, anything that chambers that fuel and that heat in a directional path. That way you can save on fuel, and the fuel you have, which is sticks and trees and woods, will last for a longer period of time. Another off-grid cooking method, which is one of my favorites, is this guy right above me, which is the GoSun series of stoves. The GoSun, the All-American Sun Oven are the only 2 options that I would venture out to say are any good. There's 1,000 different solar cookers on the market. Most of them aren't worth a damn. In my opinion, the GoSun series of stoves will always be faster than the All-American Sun Oven. However, the volume amount that you can cook is less than the GoSun. The reason you want a good solar cooker is because a nice, bright, beautiful day, you don't have to fire up the charcoal grill. You don't have to fire up the propane. You can save that propane for a rainy day. Get you something that way you can cook when power goes out. Alright, number 2 today is much like number 4 last week, and that is clothing. I mentioned cold weather gear. I'm talking about strictly clothing now. My pants are going to wear out. This shirt's going to wear out. My jackets are going to wear out over time. If you look at Venezuela, they have been in this situation for going on 8 to 10 years now. Their clothes have worn out. And so you want to make sure you have clothes as backup. And I'm not saying run down to Walmart and buy you 100 pairs of Wrangler jeans at $50 a pop. Go down to the Goodwill, go down to the Salvation Army. People throw decent clothing away all the time. On top of that, shoes are another big topic that is often overlooked. Have proper footwear. I know a lot of, especially females, will walk around all year long in flip-flops. Well, during a hyperinflation scenario, you don't want flip-flops. have you some good work boots, have you some good tennis shoes. Again, run down to the Goodwill and pick you up a couple. For number 3, arms and ammunition. So arms and ammunition will go a long way during a hyperinflation scenario. In Venezuela, people are shooting their way out of places. Don't get in those places, you won't have to shoot your way out. Arms and ammunition have always been a top prepper tool when it comes to barter and trade, when it comes to hedging any inflation. We've seen the price of ammo go up over the last couple of years. Yeah, you can bet if it's $100 per round, you can sell your spares, and get a pretty penny for them. I have said that number 4 doesn't hold any value in most bug out into the world apocalyptic situations. And that is, of course, silver or gold if you prefer. And you see, silver and gold actually hold value in a hyperinflation standpoint. Many people in Venezuela are actually using silver and gold right now to get haircuts, or to shop, or to do their basic wheeling and dealing. That is because many of those people, many of those shop owners have family outside of the country. So I walk in, I get my hair cut 10 times, whatever, I give them this little baggie of silver. What they then do is they put it in the mail and they ship it outside of the country. They then take the silver and they go and they cash it in for the denominations of that country. Let's say the US dollar. So now they have $250 US that they then ship back to the dude who cuts hair in Venezuela. Now, instead of useless silver that he can barely ever use, now he has 250 American dollars. And those American dollars are 1,000, a million times more valuable than the bolivars. So I will say, if you are prepping up for a hyperinflation scenario, purchase silver, purchase gold. I understand that junk silver is cheaper than silver rounds, silver bars, whatever you want to call it. The problem with junk silver is you need to know what years it is. You need to know how much weight equals 1 troy ounce. There's a lot of information that you need to know to trade junk silver. With these silver rounds, it says on the back, it says on the front that it's pure silver, says how much it is. So, in my opinion, if you are going to buy silver and gold, make sure it has how much it is. And the final thing I think you should pick up for a hyperinflation scenario, we've mentioned in just about every single one of them before this, and that is barter and trade goods. Right now in Venezuela, people are still bartering. People are still trading. The barter and trade economy is actually more functional and runs smoother than the Venezuelan economy and government. So, barter and trade items, whatever you think is important. If you think alcohol is important, tobacco, weed, seeds, have it. Have a lot of it. Now, of course, there's a lot of risk that comes to trade, but trade is needed to keep the economy going. Again, when it costs $1,000 for a bag of rice, you're not going to spend that. Instead, you're going to trade something else. You have ammo, you have medicine, you have eggs, chickens, ducks. You're going to trade those for that bag of rice. There's 1,000 different videos on the topic. There's 1,000 different blog pages on the topic. Find things in your area that you think are valuable, buy them up, trade them off later. So guys, hopefully this video helps. Hopefully you have some understanding. Again, I don't hope, I don't pray that we're going into a hyperinflation scenario, but I do believe that inflation is here. Inflation is here to stay, and it's going to last for a while. Do I think we'll see 10%, 20% inflation? Probably. Do I think we'll see 3 million % inflation like Venezuela? Probably not. And I think we could be seeing some sort of financial collapse next year or the year after. I don't think it's hyperinflation. I just think it's a financial collapse. Like we saw in 2008. Like we saw in 2012. So guys, of course, these are only my opinions. These are my 10 plus items. If you have any suggestions, put them down in the comment section. Again, if you lived in one of these areas that had a hyperinflation scenario, put your information down in the comment section, because I'd love to hear from somebody that actually lived through it, what they needed to survive. Alright guys, that's all I got for today's video. T2 out.